Back again, still, dear viewers, a special edition brought to you by Nile TV, of course, marking President Fattah Sisi's 7 years in office. Of course, President Abdel Fattah Sisi has announced the launch of a national project to develop the Egyptian rural countryside. He said that the Egyptian people will see the Egyptian countryside differently in the coming 3 years. And in this context, dear viewers, we have with us over the phone Dr. Abdel Salama. He is an economic expert. A very good day, sir.
Good day, lady.
A pleasure, dear, sir, to have you with us today on this very special edition of course, marking the President Fattah Sisi 7 years in office. Sir, Minister of Finance Mohammed Maita said that Egypt plans to allocate 600 billion Egyptian pounds for the national project dedicated to developing the countryside for the next 4 years. How big such a project from your own perspective, sir?
Well, it's definitely a huge project, and if we succeed with the support of every single company from Egypt and every single person of our people, it will be a real change in the face of our life. Because we have to admit that the countryside is a very important part of the other parts of the country. So arranging or funding 600 billion Egyptian pounds for the services of the countryside and villages and all that, and then on addition to the mega project which has been implemented in the last 7 years, is a huge change.
1,500 villages in 4 years. Why do we need to conclude these projects in such a short period?
Well, from the engineering side, we have to do it in this way, otherwise there will be a reflection on cost and then in services, and then we will go to the old long story that projects extend in time for very long, and accordingly, by the time we finish the project, we start to maintain it, and then the statistic of the population, consumption, all that has already changed, and because of that, we are not getting the use of this project.
Okay, Dr. Abdel Salama, the project serves about 60 million people. That is more than half the Egyptian population. How will that change the standard of living of for the full Egyptians, sir?
No, it seems that I did not hear the question very well.
Okay, sir. The project serves 60 million people.
Yes.
That is more than half of the population of the Egyptian people. How will that change the standard of living of the Egyptians, sir?
Of course. Well, let us start a little bit. Few years ago, 70 years ago, in the 50s, Egypt was considered agricultural country. We did not have a real strong industrial phase, and this just means that the countryside and the villages in Egypt is the backbone of this society. So when you are saying that we are speaking about 60 million people in that project, i.e. in the countryside and villages, this is a very proper estimate. But on the other side, as I was saying, you cannot go only by developing the big cities or the capital of Egypt and then neglecting the other part, which is 60% of the total population. It has to be one integrated country, and then what is meant by that is that the very developed industry in some of the big cities and the industrial zones need a highly educated people. And you cannot get a highly educated people from a village which do not have, or from 60% which do not have the basic source of life, like clean water, sewerage system, power system. It is needed to develop this 60%. So the remaining part of education and higher education and development can found the base of that.
Okay, sir, how do you see the Egyptian leadership determination to carry out such projects to improve the life of all Egyptians, even amid the coronavirus crisis, which affected not only just the Egyptian economy, but the entire world's economy, of course, globally? The coronavirus pandemic, of course, made a world crisis.
You are, well, please, when we speak about Egypt, there are very simple facts, and I keep saying it. Egypt, although it might be not one of the largest 10 or 15 economies of the world, but definitely, and no discussion about it, that Egypt is a principal country in the world. Repeat, is a real principal country. Probably, because we had been there for many thousands of years, but anyhow, it's a principal country. Number two, so this simply means that the changes, the major changes in Egypt will be effective all over the world. Definitely out of that. We come back to your second question. Do we believe that the changes in the last 7 years was effective, was useful to the economy? Yes. The reply is very clear, yes. At the very beginning, there were a lot of hesitation. What is the plan? Can we do it or not? Is it only words for real effective things? And now, after 6-7 years, with these similar projects, or similar ones, I believe, yes, it is very important, very useful, very integrating to the society. You are bringing the whole society to one connection altogether to be effective, all in all.
Dr. Abdel Maguid Salama, an economic expert, of course. We thank you so much for your informative knowledge and enlightened discussion of the importance of the, of course, the 7 years that President Abdel Sisi was, and since he became the president of Egypt on the 8th of June of 2014, President Abdel Sisi was sworn in as the president of Egypt since then. And over the past 7 years, the president worked hard to overcome numerous challenges, the last of which is the coronavirus pandemic. Dear viewers, this was a very special episode, of course, that was brought to you by Nile TV International, waiting for you, dear viewers, to join us again tomorrow for more about all the events that's taking place here in Egypt, with in-depth look in some of the most important and interesting topics, of course, here only on Nile TV International. Today, I was your host, I'm Rana Al-Qassas. Thank you so much for joining, dear viewers.